Hello everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We'll give it just a few more moments as I see some people are still logging in. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to our session today on Are You Leaving Money on the Table? Joining us today is Scott Borsodi. He is Innovia's Customer Engagement Specialist, and also Tom Doran, who is our Chief Marketing Officer. They will be driving today's presentation. And before I pass it over to Scott, I would like to remind you that this session is being recorded and it will be posted to our on-demand library later this week for you to review and share with anyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the questions box. We will get them answered at the end of the presentation. And so now I will pass it over to Scott to kick off our presentation.
Thanks, Angie. Good morning, everyone. A little bit about myself. I've spent 28 years in food service distribution, a few years in manufacturing, and I was first introduced to NAV in 2004. So I'm going to take you through a few slides on capturing all of your funds in distribution and manufacturing. Then we'll do a short little demo, which Tom Doran will provide, and then we'll field any questions you may have on this topic. So most distributors typically have marketing programs, rebates, billbacks, and sometimes referred to as back-end money, earned income. And they typically use Excel spreadsheets, complicated Excel spreadsheets, a lot of manual work, or there's third-party products. TrackMax is one that comes to mind that is commonly used in the food service industry. And they'll track rebates and billbacks and manage their marketing programs and tools of the such. What we're going to show you here momentarily is how you can actually do that with one integrated system in Dynamics Business Central. So I will turn it over to Tom Doran to walk you through. Hopefully his screen is working better than mine.
Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. So what we're looking at today is Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. And the solution is essentially a foundation built around the Microsoft Dynamics framework that has been tailored for the food industry. And so we're going to take just a little bit of a look at an item and a customer and some promos and rebates to give you a feel for how these can be set up to allow you to automatically track the money that you have accrued to ensure that you get what's coming to you from your marketing program participants, typically your vendors or brands. So if I take a quick look over here on the shortcuts, and there's a whole section of marketing programs, but in this case, we're going to focus on the rebates and the promos. And you see I've got a few of these set up. And so these can be set up for a specific customer, for a customer group, or as a vendor program. And so I'm gonna show you a couple of different options. So in this case, I've got one set up for my Unipro customers. And so again, this is designed to be an example, but it's to give you a feel. So I've got this set up, and I've got all my Unipro people in a custom group. And so if I want to go in and take a look at my customers, I could see that both Labatt and Treasure Bay Casino are in my Unipro group. And so everybody that is in this particular group is going to be eligible for this program. If I go and take a look, and you can see I've got the food group set up, and so I've got several different programs running for them. I've got growth program, I've got an ad plan, and then I've just got a special promo. So I can have multiple rebates and promotions running for a given customer or brand simultaneously. But if I go in here and I take a look at the food group program, I can see here that, you know, I'm doing this for all items. I'm going to do it for every case that they buy, and essentially I'm going to give them $1 a case. And so it gives me the opportunity to track and see, or in this case, sorry, at 25 cents a case. So every time that this runs, they're going to accrue, and it will show me on my dashboard how I'm doing. It will also give me, if I click into my ledger entries, I've got all the documentation and all the sales orders, so that when I have to do proof of performance with a vendor or a brand, I have all of this automatically, and I can send it really easily over to my partners so that they can give me my money. And then, you know, the other place is a vendor program, right? And so in this case, my friends at Danner Farms, we've worked out some special promotions on some cheese because we really want Treasure Bay and Cisco, Florida, to participate. And so we've set up a program through Danner that's going to get them $1 a case. Or in this case, it's actually because this is a catch weight item, and you'll see how this works in a second. It's going to give them $1 every time I sell some of this cheese. And so so now we'll switch over, and we're going to take a quick look at some sales orders that have some activities on them. Oh, actually, before I leave this. So my fact box is on the right, and I should have probably shown you this first because it's important. But it will show me all along how I'm doing relative to the actual plan for this program. So I've put an estimate in here that this is going to be a $20,000 program. I can see what I've accrued against it. I can see everything that I've paid out, so that it gives me at a glance a very clear idea of how this program is producing for me, which, you know, is very helpful, certainly for our managers and our marketing team, but, you know, also for our CFO and C-suite folks to see how we're doing. So I've set up a couple of different sales orders. So let me go find this one, 426. So in this particular order, these folks are not participating in my classic cheese program. So I've got an order in for the food group. They're buying the classic reserve cheddar, just like our friends at Treasure Bay will be. And as I scroll over, you can see that the promo and rebate are 0. So the field's going to be there. It'll show me how I'm doing on this sales order. And in this case, these folks are not eligible for the promo, so there's nothing on that line. But if I go take a look at the next sales order for our friends at Treasure Bay Casino, you'll get a few things going on here. So you'll notice my item number is the same, C1090. The description came in different because Treasure Bay Casino wants to call it something different. So it's automatically doing a cross-reference there for me. You can see that I've got a quantity of 10 on here. And as I scroll over and have a look at my promo, I've earned $120. And so you'll know, you know, as we talked about, this is a catch weight item. So as I scroll down, you'll see that this is a 12-pound per case item. So I bought 10 cases. I'm getting $1. It's $120, $120. So this is going to calculate for me as I use my different items, and keep track of all of my promotions. It's going to help me bill my vendors back and also give me the opportunity to make sure that I'm not leaving any money on the table. So if I leave this behind for just a moment, I'm going to go back to my rebate program, and I'm going to walk through the fields just for a minute. So if I look at my cheese program here, and it'll be less about this specific program and more about your options. So you can do it. You can do a particular reporting plan. So, when you think of a reporting action, sometimes people just want to track growth so that salespeople can have a more strategic conversation with their customers. But obviously, promos and rebates are the most common. When do I want to accrue? So, different people have different requirements. I can do it when I invoice or when I have a credit memo. I can do it on shipment or when I've received it into my warehouse, or I can do it when things get paid, right? So depending on the performance that we're going to require is when the accrual is going to start. And then how do I want to document, or when do I want to create the actual math? And so in this case, I'm doing it on the line items. I could also set it up so that it's based on the full order value or against a sales plan. So particularly helpful if I'm doing growth programs. Start and end date, pretty self-explanatory. My estimated amount. So if I've got a budget for this program, that's where I set that up. And if you look over on the right, you'll still see this. So I've got an estimate in here for my accruals of $20,000, and that's where that comes from. So then I can look and say, okay, how am I going to calculate this in terms of who's going to be eligible? So is it the bill to customer, the sell to customer, or the ship to customer? And then again, who do I group in terms of these calculations? So in this case, it was a price group that I used, which was Unipro. But I could have done all customers, a specific customer contract, a customer group. So you have a lot of flexibility there in terms of how you assign this to folks. And then again, which items are included. So I can set that up. In this case, I set it up for a specific item, but I could have done it for an entire brand, a manufacturer, anything that I could think of. I am pretty certain that we can assign. So, depending on, if it's a Heinz program, regardless of where I bought my Heinz products, I can track that through the manufacturer code. So, I've got a lot of flexibility there in terms of how I compute that. And then obviously based on what unit of measure. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a feel for how the customer promos and rebates run. The vendor promos and rebates run the same exact way. If I look at my other marketing options, you'll see that there are a lot of different ways to handle these. I've got some off invoice allowances. I've got my sales commissions. So really a great deal of flexibility built right into the product to help you ensure that you're getting all the money that you have coming to you and that you're not leaving money on the table. Scott, I'll turn it back to you.
Angie, do we have any questions?
Yes, one of our attendees has asked, how do you handle marketing programs?
That's a good question. Marketing programs can be handled through the built-in relationship management, through campaigns. So yes, we can actually handle marketing programs in Dynamics Business Central.
And I would jump in there just a minute, Scott, as well. As you and I have both experienced, marketing programs have different flavors at different distributors. So while it's a broad term that's used widely in the industry, we getting a little more specific information with you either offline if you want to email Scott or Angie. If you can give us some examples of what you're doing with your marketing programs, we'd be happy to talk to you specifically about how the product might help you.
Other questions, Angie?
Nope, that appears to be the only question that we had for today.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining our webinar. And as Tom mentioned, please, my contact information should be up on the screen if I've rotated to the right one. And please don't hesitate to contact us if we can be of service in any way. And thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you, Tom and Scott, for presenting. And to everyone on today's call or watching on demand, thank you for joining us. We do have one more webinar before we close the year on Thursday, December 20th. Scott will also be presenting on Are You Concerned About Manufacturing Recalls and Your Liabilities under FSMA? So if you're interested in attending that webinar, please go ahead and register for that. And thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again soon on another Innovia webinar. Have a great day.